August 23rd. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, Tech Zealotry and the GNU Herd.
Let's do this.
So, Scott, would you consider yourself a computer expert?
I am indeed a computer expert, perhaps in the 99th percentile in the world.
I would tend to agree with that to a point. I mean, we're tech professionals in New York. So, Scott, when you connect to a wireless network and it doesn't work, why is your first instinct to tell me my wireless network that I am connected to just fine is broken?
Because I pushed all the buttons that would normally repair a wireless network, and it did not
Wait,
work.
so you use the Windows, I don't know what I'm doing, fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it button. That button doesn't work.
I also restarted the entire computer.
And did that work?
No.
So then what fixed it?
Flicking the switch on the side of the laptop that turns the radios actually off for reals, and then flicking it again.
So some sort of problem with your laptop, not a problem with my perfectly fine wireless network because I'm an IT guy.
This problem did not happen at my house with the exact same laptop. Therefore, the problem was in your router.
Yes, my router somehow required you to reset the radio on your wireless card.
That is correct. It was an evil router with evil waves through the air.
So I did promise,
evil.
All that aside, I promised, at least in the forum, that tonight at the MetaBit, we would actually announce the musical act for the Penny Arcade Expo Friday night late show.
So why are you saying this now? It's not the MetaBit.
Because people might be wondering. I'm not actually going to announce it. I'm just saying that I'm going to announce it. It was a meta bit. Meta bit's go in the front.
The reason we have the meta moment is because we don't want meta, so it can't cut.
No. Meta we don't want. I agree 100%. But meta.
We don't want any amount of meta.
Yes,
we want to minimize all metas, no matter how many metas there are. So can it?
But meta is very different.
No, it is not. It is exactly the same. Save it for the meta moment. Not now.
I am saving the meta for the meta moment,
no,
but not the meta
save
minute.
Also the meta and the meta. Thou shalt savest all metas despite the exponent for the meta moment.
All right, so I guess we should talk about the news since I can't talk about my meta stuff.
I don't have any opening bits whatsoever. It's raining.
All right.
Woman, it's raining.
So you got some woman? Really? Woman?
No, it's just raining. I guess Poseidon.
So you gonna talk about the heliums?
I'll talk about the helium. So apparently, there's this guy who he says he's an expert on helium. I'm pretty sure he is an expert on helium. But he is saying...
I am also an expert on helium. I don't feel like editing my voice to
He's
be
actually a
high-pitched,
Nobel Prize winning physicist, so he's smart. Right?
I'll spare you all. I was gonna just edit this and make us sound really high-pitched, and that idea felt really stupid right away, so I didn't do it.
That's good, because usually you think those ideas are not stupid. Your judgment is getting clearer.
Anyway, so he is a very smart person. He says we are running out of helium.
And the problem is that, A, we need helium for many things. For example, we need it for MRI machines.
Yep.
And we need it for rockets.
We need it for balloons and funny voices.
Yes, we need it for many things. It is very needed. But...
So where do we get helium from, Scott?
We get helium from rocks under the ground. It's apparently only in a certain geological situation where there's salt and a certain kind of rock, you can extract helium from it, but it kind of sucks.
Now, the worst part is, I will admit straight up, until I saw this article, I'd never even considered where helium came from because it's in the grocery store. We waste it like crazy. So I just never thought that it was trouble to get helium. Otherwise, why would it just be wasted all the time?
Well, the other thing is with helium, right? As soon as you let go of it, not only does it go in the air, but you can't really get it out of the air easily. Why? Because it goes up.
In fact, not
above
only that,
everything.
It does not just go up. I read that large
goes into
percentages of
space.
it go into space and are gone.
Yep.
I guess we could mine some gas giant for its helium.
Right, but anyway, so, when we use helium, it's gone. That's it. And we get it out of the rocks. And once it's out of the rocks, it's gone. And the problem is that the United States had this gigantic helium reserve.
Ah, very clever. So when the rest of the
world... Because we have strategic reserves of all kinds of crazy elements.
Yep. I mean, we have the oil reserve partly because to date, there is no electric fighter jet.
Yeah. So we have this strategic reserve of various elements, and one of the elements we have a strategic reserve of is helium. But there was an order, I'm not sure if it was a law or something, but it basically, they have to sell off the helium reserve, all of it, by a certain date. So they're selling helium like crazy. So the price is wicked low. But when that runs out, there isn't going to be a lot of helium, and a helium balloon for your birthday party is probably going to be $100. So
This seems really short-sighted.
Well, it does if it's true, but you brought up the fact that, well, the people trading the commodities markets, they know all this information, so how come the commodities, the helium futures aren't crazy way high?
Now, this is why I'm dubious, because at the same time, reading all the physics and the science and the mining behind it, I don't doubt that it's going to be very difficult to
This
get more
guy's
helium.
a Nobel Prize winning physicist. This sounds right to me.
I also kind of disagree with selling off a strategic reserve of something like that, because I feel
Well,
like
I think it's too late on that. It's already been done.
we could undo that unless we
could,
sold it all.
We could stop and keep what we haven't sold yet.
I think we should, and then maybe start buying up more, or at least keep what we've got left.
Yeah, about 80% of the world's reserves are in the U.S. Southwest at the U.S. National Helium Reserve located in Amarillo, Texas.
Why don't we just go over there with a drill and
A
steal
recently
it?
passed law has ruled the reserve must be sold off by 2015, regardless of market price.
That seems like a terrible law.
Who made that law, and what were they thinking?
Now, maybe it costs so much
maybe
to
it was
maintain
some
the reserve.
maybe it was companies that needed helium to be cheap, like people making MRIs,
That-
lobbied for that law.
Maybe it was just pork to cut down on the spending there and to sell it off and bolster the budget with the pittance that we're going to get from it.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't like the without respect to the market. A better law would have been hire a bunch of experts, and their job is to make the most money off of the helium reserve over the next 40 years.
But you could possibly make even more money if you didn't pay the experts.
Yeah, but at the same time, maybe the expert's going to do better than the market price of a quantity where you own all of it. If I own all of it and I say I'm going to sell all of
It
it,
gets a De Beers situation. And see, De Beers is smart. They keep all the fucking diamonds. If they just opened up the vault and let the diamonds out, it would be diamonds would be like $1.
but yes,
But
here's-
because they hold on to the diamonds, they make such mad bank. If you got a big stock of something like helium and you're a government that is in debt, you shouldn't be just opening the fucking vault. You should be selling that for a high price, like De Beers.
unless you know that the vault is not as valuable as everyone else thinks it is,
If
or
the
you
vault is full of water
or you have some other
or
reason.
dirt.
Like maybe, for example, we don't know, but helium is what attracts, I don't know, earthquakes or aliens or Thalons or
Yeah, no.
Baphomet. We don't know.
You and your Baphomet.
Baphomet is a really good word. It's perfectly
Listen, we have
cromulent.
plenty of Baphomet in the Baphomet Reserve.
I think we do.
The price is very low. We're good.
So this is now to qualify this. 1, I do not speak on behalf of anyone other than myself. 2, while I work in the equities markets, I do not work in options or futures or commodities or
Commodities.
anything like that. I have no expertise there. But in general, I would assume that if this were terribly solid research, that people would be investing in this. They would be investing in peak helium.
Well, they would buy in long. You wouldn't want to buy a short future. They would buy the long futures, like 30-year futures, right? Which is I buy helium now, but you give me the helium in 30 years.
There's also the possibility of buying real commodities, of buying the helium or buying the helium reserve straight up.
The problem with buying the helium is you have to pay
I know
to
all the
store
problems.
helium.
I'm well aware of all the problems, but the one trouble with buying just futures and commodities and all that is that, what if the time when we run out of helium is the time when Mad Max happens?
It says here 25 to 30 years. Actually, remember how I would always ask the one question about commodities? Like, if you buy hogsheads, do you actually get the hogsheads?
Yep.
I found the answer.
You did. What's the answer?
Depending on what you buy, there's like a time limit. And if you don't do certain things by the time limit, you have to accept shipment somehow. Like, someone's going to try to ship them to you, and you have to deal with it. You have
Stocks
to,
work
get
the same
someone
way.
to-
You buy and sell a stock, you've got 3 days to clear and to actually give each other the stock.
Yeah, it's like if you don't resell your commodity or something like that, you're actually going to take shipment of wheat or whatever the fuck it is you bought. And,
Yep, well, imagine
and the thing is, these commodities guys, basically they have to do everything they possibly can to avoid that. So oftentimes when a whole bunch of people are gonna take shipment real soon, they'll just fucking sell it off at like some low price because they don't have warehouses, they don't have. What are they gonna do with some fucking barrels of oil? They're like, shit, get the hell out of here. And that sometimes you see the prices moving because of dates on people and stuff like that.
But regardless, I don't know. This is a broader issue. I don't know if we really want to get into the whole idea of technological strategic reserves or the fact that every resource on the Earth, until we can mine space, is finite.
Carbon is I think we're okay on
Yeah,
that.
we can get carbon pretty easily if we need it.
I don't think we're worried about nitrogen either.
No.
I'm just thinking.
But it does take energy to compress nitrogen and do stuff with it.
Yeah, but the nitrogen, it's so easy and cheap compared to anything
For now,
else.
because we have, basically free
Photon,
energy.
I don't think we're going to have a shortage of photons either anytime in the near future.
Yeah, we're not that good at harvesting them, though.
No, but I get harvesting
There
with
is
my eyeballs.
there
My
is
eyeballs are
definitely
really good at harvesting.
No
photons.
shortage of your mom. So, in something closer to home, because silly voices are one thing, but bloggers. Blogging is the most important thing ever, or at least that's what bloggers told us 10 years
really.
ago.
It's not important at all.
But an issue came up, story on Slashdot. I'll skip the details, but basically there was this rabble about the fact that due to poorly written laws about business and such, it appears that a blogger in Philadelphia who makes approximately $5.5 a year from ads on her blog, gross.
Geeknights forum ad, which is just one stupid ad, makes more than that.
So she made $5.50 a year gross, not net,
All right.
off of her blog because she had some ads. And being a dutiful citizen, this person reported it as income, other income on the tax form. Like if Scott gives me $20 and there's something where I report it, this is some income, $20. And you just pay taxes on it at
Bad
your rate.
move.
So because she reported this, Philly in Pennsylvania said, oh, wait a minute. You have to pay $300 to incorporate to have a license to operate a business. So basically, it'd be cheaper to stop carrying the ads and not make the $5.
Yeah, just turn the ads off and then it's no longer a business, right?
So how are we in this situation? I mean, this is not a situation where someone is running an illicit business. This is a situation where someone has a hobby and their hobby happens to generate a trivial amount of money. $5. That doesn't even buy lunch in Midtown.
Nope.
Unless you buy that hot dog from that guy.
I talked with that guy.
You can buy like 5 of that guy's hot dogs.
Maybe. You can buy 5 water bottles, maybe.
Yeah, you can buy, but no, they're those
you can buy
like,
2 packs of gum.
it depends on the gum.
Fancy gum.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about this, right? This isn't just a case of technology getting ahead of, the law, as is so common, right? It's a case of actual society getting ahead of the law, right? I mean, back in the day, would anybody, for example, open up a deli just for fun? I'm going to open up a deli. I'm not going to try to make money. In fact, if I lose money, I don't even give a shit. I just like running a deli. It's my hobby. And in my spare time, when I get home from work, for an hour here and there, I'll open up my deli and make sandwiches for fun. And I'll just give the sandwiches away for free, really.
Now,
and there'll be maybe a donation jar, and I'll get $1 a week, maybe.
Now we're going to skip all the kind of food safety regulation of that
Yeah, okay,
analogy.
fine. I open up a dry cleaner because I just loved cleaning fucking clothes. And you know what? I just clean clothes for fun. I don't charge anyone money to do it. I just do it because I like to at random hours once in a while.
Yep. But suddenly we're in a world...
Nobody would ever do that.
Suddenly we're in a world where some people run a blog as their living. Some people run a blog not as their living, but as a business. They're incorporated. They make substantial...
There are different groups of people both engaging in the exact same activity. Some are doing it as their living, and some are doing it for fun. Before, this decade or before the 90s, there was nobody doing things just for fun that other people were doing for work. I mean, maybe there were some people writing a book for fun, but they wouldn't make even a penny off of it if they didn't get a publisher. But now someone can write a book for fun, put it on the internets, and make some dollars.
I mean, there's multiple
without
things.
actually engaging in real business.
Here's one thing that I see brought up a lot. So say I write software for open source. I mean, maybe that should be considered charity if I'm just writing it for fun.
I don't know.
I'm spending my hours.
It's charity usually when you give to a specific group. But what if I just give something to the world? Is that charity? Like if George Lucas just says, you know what, Star Wars, public domain, does he get $1 billion tax deduction for charity?
I'm pretty sure no.
Yeah,
but at
maybe
the
he
same
should.
time, we're in a world now where there are a lot of people who are creating actual value. They're creating tangible, real value in the world, and they don't expect to make money off of it, or they don't even try to make money off of it. But yet, because of the secondary problem of the ease of making very small amounts of money, I mean, it would literally take me 20 clicks, and I'd have to type 15 words. And I've got Google AdWords on my blog, and I make $1.
It's probably even less than that.
Should I have to register that as a business?
Should you have to pay $300 to register that as a business?
I feel like there's an easy way around this, but the only way we'll get there is if maybe all the old people die, or I
The
don't know.
government wises the fuck up. The thing is, the government doesn't want to wise up. They want to force all these people to pay $300 each. They can
Exactly,
rake in
because
the
here's the
dough.
thing. The only reason this is an issue, and there are things like this happening all over the country now. Some city or some state or some county doesn't have enough money, and they find
None
some
of
law.
them have. Name one that has enough money.
Bridgeport, Connecticut.
They don't have enough money.
I think they have enough money.
No, they don't.
What can't they do?
Anything.
Yeah.
They had a lot of scandals in recent years and things like that.
So, all right. Regardless of all that, so forgot what I was going to say.
There are places all over looking for money.
Oh, yeah. So states, right? They want money. And they find a law that says, technically women can't cut their hair on a Tuesday. So they go around fining all the barbers cutting women's hair on Tuesday. It'll take a while to strike that law off the books. They're going to make as much money as they can in the interim. So what do you do when you have a legislature or a government that has a vested interest in enforcing a law that itself puts forth no value to society other than drawing a revenue stream, and in fact will harm the thing it's drawing the revenue stream from? And the money it's going to get is basically going to force all these bloggers to not file, to not pay, and to not even report the income. This woman paid legitimate income tax on this, and the city basically said, you know what? Because we want you to pay the $300, you're never going to file again, and we're going to get $0.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, it's a government that's supposed to be representative of the people, but really it's adversarial in this situation. The people are just trying to go about their business, and the government is trying to just come and take money from the people. And if you had like a referendum on any of these laws, nobody would agree. I don't think a single person would say, yeah, some blog that made $11. It's not a single intelligent, sane person who is literate would say.
But at the same time, we got referendum.
That a legitimate, that wasn't an old person, would
But
say that an
referendi-
$11 blog should have to pay a $300 registration fee.
Referenduses are dangerous because a lot of people want very stupid things.
Well, no, but I'm saying is a referendum on that specific thing.
But what are
Like a referendum on cutting hair on Tuesday, not a single person except someone making a joke would vote that you shouldn't be allowed to cut hair on Tuesday.
what if enough hipsters vote ironically and then it passes anyway?
Hipsters don't vote. They didn't even do the census. They're worthless.
So this is the tip of the iceberg. What are we going to do 40 years from now when technology's gotten to the point to where
We won't make it 40 years. We're only making it maybe 25.
You know what? Let's make it 2 years from now. What are they going to do? I don't think we're going to be fine.
We're
because
just basically going to be just these kinds of problems times 10.
Yeah, but what's going to happen, I think, is this is part of the reason why I had such trouble setting up e-commerce, because every time I go to do something, I find 3 paths in front of me. The right way, from a personal perspective, don't file anything, hide it all. It's probably the safest option. Middle road, file like the legitimate stuff, like just, all right, on my taxes, we're going to make this money, but we're not going to incorporate. The real way, incorporate lawyer, accountant. The real way removes all our profits right now, so there's no way I'm going to do that. The easy way, the right way from my personal perspective, sets me up for legal liability if anyone ever catches me, and I'm basically breaking the law flagrantly. The middle road, do what the law says, but get fucked anyway because the laws are too complex.
Yep.
So it sucks. Basically, I got to find someone else to do all this for me who doesn't want money.
Well, you just set it up in my name as if it's a business that is entirely run by me.
You want me to do that? You want to take all the liability?
I already have all the payment accounts,
Yeah, you do.
so whatever.
Yeah. Anyway, all that, I feel like we're going to hit some sort of crossroads because we've got a society now where a lot of people will generate a surprising amount, but still at the same time a fairly trivial revenue or income from their hobbies. The average hobby that is creative can make money. I mean, look at all the people in an artist alley. Most of them just lie on that form or don't fill out the tax form. People we know didn't pay sales taxes because it's such a pain in the ass. And if you try to do it and do it wrong, you are fucked more than if you just don't do it.
The thing is, government would be much better off if they did it for you. But you know what? The cost of doing it for you makes it unprofitable for them.
Wait. But what about when we had e-file? When e-file was announced originally, when they said we should let people file online, the plan was the government will give you a website. You can just do your fucking taxes there, and that's the end of it. And people lobbied.
Other countries haven't.
Yes, but there was a huge lobby from people like H&R Block saying, no, that would destroy our business.
It would destroy their business.
Yes, and as a result, we don't have the ability to just file our stuff online.
Yeah, but you know what? The thing is, when the government looks at something like that, Congress or whoever, they say, well, look, H&R Block is this big company, Intuit with its TurboTax is this big company, right? If we make this law, those companies will go out of business and it will create this much unemployment. This is the reason. See, economists have this strange idea. They keep thinking that the fact, everyone always worried that technology would create huge unemployment as computers replace people.
And it always did in the interim.
No, the thing is, they would always, if you ask any economist, they'll say, no, that's not true. That hasn't panned out historically. It hasn't panned out historically because there have been legal blockades preventing it from doing so, or because the incompetence has prevented it from doing so. You could, if technology was actually used properly and there weren't laws propping up businesses, you would see massive unemployment due to companies just disappearing because they're not needed anymore.
But at the same time, I would argue, look at what happened during the Industrial Revolution. There was mass unemployment and all sorts of social problems that then worked themselves out because I think it's kind of a corollary to the broken windows fallacy. Because the broken windows fallacy is the idea that if you break a window, you create jobs. That's a simple way of putting it because, someone's got to pay to replace the glass. You make a job for the glass maker and But at the same time, if the window hadn't been broken in the first place, all those people could theoretically go do something productive instead of fixing something broken. If technology was used in the right way, I think in the end what would happen is all the jobs that were lost would be recreated in brand new value add to the world.
Yeah, the thing is, they would all be what kind of job?
I don't know. I think the thing is, I don't think propping up bad, old, archaic businesses is the right way to go about it.
So in the short term, you're going to create the massive economic problems and get blamed for it and get.
But you know what?
Out.
That has happened at every major juncture of technology in history. So now it's almost, you know what this is like? Forest fires. Remember, there were forest fires every now and then. And one day humans said, you know what? Let's prevent forest fires. And then there's big fucking forest fires because we let it build up too long.
Instead of having a bunch of little ones, we had a few big ones.
Yep.
That we couldn't even stop because they were too big.
But regardless, even if there would, this is a political question. This is an ideological question. Which should we do, Scott? I'm going to ask you personally.
Right.
If our options are thus. Option 1, continue to leave the laws in this situation as they are for bloggers and maintain some sort of monopoly.
I have a feeling you're about to present me with a false dichotomy.
Of course. All right, let's go with the taxes. Should we have a net loss to society from the ideological standpoint of government services should be free and not tied to the private sector? And the government should make a site where you can just do your taxes and they'll do it for you because it's a boon to society on the ideological standpoint that if they're going to force you to do the taxes, they shouldn't force you to go through a private company. Mm-hmm. Or do we prop up the private company monopoly on this bullshit and not create that public boon because of a short-term pragmatic economic solution to the fact that we have more people who need work than we have work to do?
We should simultaneously...
You're going to pull the Trigun approach. Let's try to do everything and fail.
No, we should simultaneously create the E-Trade, e-file thing, put those companies out, and find something new for those people to do.
All right, like what?
Like...
Maybe rebuild
porno.
our infrastructure?
They can all be porn stars.
Porn stars good.
Yeah, make money.
But I don't think anyone disagrees that regardless of any other rationale, I think there should be some sort of trivial business license that you can get from the government. It should be a federal thing even. If you make less than $5,000 a year from something, whatever it is, you can file something and then that's it.
One piece of paper that's as easy as the easy, tax form.
Yeah, it should be
the 1040 easy.
Incorporation for hobbies.
You put in the name of your business, you put in your name and address and your social security number and the date and
yep.
whatever.
And you know what? You can't write anything off. You get no tax benefits whatsoever. And any money you make, you just get taxed at your income tax rate based on your tax bracket.
And that's it.
That's it. And if you start making more money...
In fact, the way it works... No, here's how it should work. You ready for this?
Yeah?
Any money that the business makes... the company that you form, you give a W-4 to yourself, and it just counts as your income, and that's it.
You don't even need to do a W-4. You just have to file it as income for you from hobby.
Yeah, but I mean, if it could with the W-4, it could show that it came from your company, so.
I don't think you need to even be that complex.
But it would take out the appropriate Social Security and such and such and such.
Do we want to even involve Social Security in a guy who has a blog that makes $5 a year?
Hey, why not? It'd be 2 cents. They need money.
Here's the problem. The math will get screwed up. It'll be $6.
No, because the computer would do it for you.
The computer, because our government is so good at using computers.
You would just type in
how
much money your hobby made, and it would go, and then print out the W-4 and you'll be done.
So, things of the day. What do you got?
So this is probably way old, but I just discovered it, so screw you, anyone who says it's old.
You've given me shit before for using something old.
If you know what this is and you've seen it before, then you can give me shit.
All right.
So,
shit prepared. Shit loaded.
All right, so you know
Loaded into wolf cannon.
So you know one of our favorite websites, Laugh at Rice. Right?
Oh, yeah. It's been a while since I've been to Laugh at Rice. Is it still going?
I don't know, but you know what? I found another site that is actually superior.
Laugh at hipsters?
No, youdrivewhat.com. Youdrivewhat.com has 215 pages of stupid cars. Oh my God, these cars are the stupidest cars imaginable.
So it's not just ricers.
I cannot even be, no, this is just you drive what? And you you go through some of these and it is just ludicrous. Ludicrous all over the place. Oh my God. Fucking My Little Pony car. Fucking two minivans.
Hey, My Little Pony car is pretty badass.
Two minivans attached to each other.
That's like a Zealotry, also
a lady
badass.
with like fucking action, like McDonald's kids meal toys just glued to all over the car.
Okay, that's kind of creepy.
It's just the craziest, most screwed up cars you've ever seen in your whole life. One with like a zebra lady painted on the back. I mean, I don't even know.
Wait. A zebra lady like a furry? Like a... I don't know what that is.
Yeah, so just go to this site and you could be entertained literally for days on end. It'll take you to look at all of these ridiculous cars. And yeah.
All right. So the Empire State Building is the tallest building in New York City. However,
well, now it is.
Well, so there's a lot of argument about the fact that someone plans to build another tower that is not as tall as the Empire State Building, but is close to it. It is like 67 stories, 1,200 feet tall. It's going to be a little bit shorter than the Empire State Building, and it's going to be nearby it.
All right.
So the guy who owns the Empire State Building was basically like, you can't build this. It'll ruin the Empire State Building. It'll ruin the New York City skyline. Everybody hates it. No one should build this building. It should be like a quarter the size.
What? It should be double the size. Make it as big as you can.
Yeah, and the guy who's building it, and there's this kind of piss fight between these guys in New York. Luckily, the vote is going to be tomorrow, and by Wednesday, we should know the outcome.
Do I get to vote?
No.
Hey, check this out.
Wow.
I say yes to all buildings.
I do too. The thing is, this building looks pretty cool. And
unless the building actually looks like a penis.
It looks pretty cool, but this is why I think the Empire State Building guy sucks. One, the Empire State Building is only taller than the Chrysler Building because they built that little penis on top of it.
That's correct.
It's done, and then on top, there's that little penis. And then the penis has like a long penis off of it.
Yep.
So this new building, I'm looking at pictures of them side by side. There's like an artist mock-up. It looks really cool, for one. It's like this shiny glass. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't have a penis on the top.
Mm-hmm.
No penis at all. And if you look at it next to the Empire State Building and you take away the Empire State Building's penis, it's taller than the Empire State Building.
Punned.
Yeah. I so hope they build this building.
I mean, I like the Empire State Building, but it's, you know, from everything I've heard, and I've heard a story of like a salesman who tried to sell like a keyboard tray to the guy who built it or something, you know, the guy who runs the company that originally built it. I don't even know.
Is he a dick?
Yeah, basically, it seems like all the people who run the Empire State Building are dicks, but it's an awesome building. But you know what? I got no. What do they care if someone else builds another building? It's like, I hate just all NIMBYs and bananas. You have no say over what the fuck someone else wants to build on their land near you. I mean, people in neighborhoods like complaining about, oh, you put that ugly house in the same street as me. It's like, what the fuck do you care? It's not your land. Shut the fuck up.
The worst thing is, this is the second controversy. There's another skyscraper someone's trying to build up by Central Park. And all the rich people in the area don't want a skyscraper up there because it'll ruin the character of their neighborhood. But
tough shit.
Well, the Empire State Building got built. All those other skyscrapers got built. And I want to see the New York skyline just get so dense that it's just a wall of glass.
Blade Runner, guys. We're behind schedule.
Yeah. I want skyscrapers on top of skyscrapers.
Big black pyramid. Let's go. So here, check this out. Here's a...
No. My thing of the day is not that.
Oh.
My thing of the day is the comments on the website that has the news story, CBS New York.
Oh, boy.
Public comments on non-technology sites.
Usually newspaper sites, though, like real print newspaper sites, have heavy moderation. Like,
So here's the first comment from Joe. All lowercase. This is awful news. Not only are these new buildings ugly, people can't even walk the streets.
yeah, we can.
Seems pretty stupid to me. Why not put another building there that terrorists can go after? Imagine it going down in the middle of Manhattan. Who the heck would rent or work there? Not me. All caps at the end there.
Why do you live here?
Captain.
If you don't like it, leave.
I don't think he lives here. And it's amazing the absurdity. Like, it's got to be bots.
Why
at some
does the
point.
newspaper not moderate those away?
Now, one guy said something smart. Do you think that the builders of the Chrysler Building were happy when the Empire State Building put that giant spire on the top? Here's your payback. And then the reply to that, actually, quote, "This is Mother Teresa's revenge."
That's a good comment.
I don't even-
Why did the newspaper allow that comment?
I don't even fucking know.
This is CBS, right?
Yeah.
They allowed that comment.
CBS New York.
All right.
But
Is it the
this-
radio or the TV?
I guess the TV, because it's got the eyeball.
Is it CBS 880?
I have no idea. CBS 2 HD?
Yeah, that's TV.
Yeah.
The thing is, only old people watch CBS. CBS is the old people channel.
Yeah, but this thing is 34 feet shorter than the Empire State Building, and if you take away the Empire State Building's penis, it's like 40 feet taller.
Yeah. I wonder if there'll be rise to the top.
I don't know. I want if this building is gonna get built, I might go be one of the first people to go up into it.
You can be waiting in line.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, so check it. Here's one more funny.
No, we should make a thing. Go to the top of this one. I'll go to the top of the Empire State Building. Let's try to get a paper airplane between the two.
Oh, sweet. So check it out. Here we go. Chandelier.
That's your ride.
That's so awesome. I actually like that one.
Wow.
It has spinning rims, though.
Spinning rims. Why not chandeliers in the rims?
No, I think chandelier where the light usually goes inside.
So I
the car.
believe it is time, before we forget, for the meta moment. The Geeknights Book Club book is Golden Apples of the Sun by Ray Bradbury, collection of sci-fi short stories.
You
that
know,
never went to
really,
print.
I thought about that title just now.
Yeah.
The sun really can't have any apples, let alone golden ones. Otherwise, they would just get set on
God-
fire.
Have you ever read poetry?
Yeah.
You know that Golden Apples of the Sun is alluding to a fairly famous poem?
No.
A poem by Yeats,
Uh huh.
not Keats. Similar.
Not Goethe. Goethe.
I heard Nobunga wrote some good. We'll do a show on that soon. Also, the Penny Arcade Expo. This is not a Tuesday, so hopefully you guys know what PAX is. It's pretty much
PAX West.
PAX West, PAX Prime.
Labor Day weekend in Seattle.
The most rockin' gaming convention in the world, possibly outside of Essen, but Essen is not rocking
outside of PAX East.
in the same way. Touche, good sir. We are going to be at the Penny Arcade Expo, PAX Prime. We are doing 2 panels. We are doing Egregiously Unrealized Potential on Sunday.
You don't have to come to that one.
We are doing, well, it's not going to live up. We are doing Game Mechanics and Mechanism Design in the Unicorn Theater Saturday night.
You got to come to that one.
And Friday, 10 p.m. in the Serpent Theater, we are the hosts of PAX Late Night, the PAX Late Show. We have got Alex Albrecht. We have got the Rooster Teeth guys. We have got the voice of Duke Nukem, John St. John. And
You
we
got
have
balls of steel.
got balls.
Of steel.
We have got a musical act. It is Molly23, who plays the ukulele.
Ukulele.
Lele.
All right,
She is-
no one's gonna get that joke.
You know what? Molly23 is pretty freaking metal. You should listen. She's got some of her songs online. She's totally cool. She's doing her musical act. And yeah,
There we go.
that's the Friday PAX Late Show.
Totally awesome.
Yes, I'm totally pumped for it. Well, pumped.
And if you are not going to PAX,
Fuck you.
you will be able to watch that on the internet.
Yes, in some form. We're going to have a website and everything to
More
announce.
details will probably occur after it is on the internet.
It will not be hard to find. I'm sure if you look for PAX Late Show, you will find us.
Yeah. What other informations is? One more piece of information. It's a PAX advice to people who might be listening to the show, right?
Yes, this is on the level of the advice we usually give to like the Otakon people at Otakon.
Yeah, this is just one PAX advice for a PAX goer, right? I have learned, and I can't 100% say this is true, but 90%, that the PAX main events, right? is going to be in the, well, this is 100%, right? That it's going to be in the, what's the name of the theater?
The Bear is something. I don't even have it up.
It's going to be in Benaroya Hall, which is it's like a concert hall down the road where the symphony plays.
Much like how Otakon, because their stuff is too big, they put it in the arena next door.
Right, so
Same
the
deal.
main events of PAX West are going to be in Benaroya Hall, which is a place where the symphony plays. So I assume it's going to be all seats and not a general admission.
It also only seats like 2,500 people.
Yes, so the concert's going to be pretty sad because you're not going to be able to stand really.
I'll stand on my chair.
Right, anyway.
Unless I'm in a beanbag.
Anyway. So they're going to give out exactly 20, the number of wristbands equal to the number of seats for, the concerts and
now,
such.
of course, many people will get wristbands and not show up. I've done that before.
Yes.
So,
I'm sure that some people will be allowed in without wristbands, but I doubt many, and I cannot promise you that you will get in without a wristband.
but none of this is really news.
No. The news is, well, it's not really news, but it is advice. If you don't have the wristband, right? And you don't, and let's say if it's a Q&A and you want to ask a Q, you probably want to get there. But if you just want to watch the keynote or you just want to see the concert and relax, they are supposedly going to simulcast everything in Benaroya Hall in the Q room in the convention center on a screen. So you could just chill in that Q room and watch all the main events of PAX without having to walk down the street and lose a bunch of time waiting in line or dealing with
I get
wristbands
in
or
line
anything.
for event A. While I am in line, I watch event B, simulcast from the hall. Then I immediately go to event A.
Mm-hmm.
How have I at any point wasted my time?
What do you mean?
I've gotten double awesome.
That's right.
Yeah.
So take full advantage of the simultaneously cast main events in the queue room because you can avoid, spending time doing walks between the main, the convention center and the Benaroya Hall. And you could play games. You can't play a game during a concert if you're in the concert hall, but you could play a game in the queue room while the concerts are going on. How awesome is that?
Oh, yeah.
That'd be fucking sweet.
Plus, think of this. We're getting to the point. I mean, they have entertainment in the queue room, which already puts PAX like well above and beyond any other con we go to.
If that entertainment is also the main events,
it's going to get to the point to where there are people who I could almost foresee spending their entire con in events or in the queue room because the queue room also has its own like exclusive entertainment. We might be screening The Late Show there at one point.
Mm-hmm.
All sorts of stuff goes on in there. There's that line entertainment, the games. The queue room is an event in and of itself that is worth standing in line for. Will we someday have a queue room for the queue room?
That'd be so sweet.
Will we have the queue room be simulcast into the queue room?
The whole convention will be one room.
And parts of it simulcast into other rooms. It's just a loop.
Now everyone on their phone, there'll be 100 cameras and you could pick which camera you want to look at in the room.
All right, I guess that's enough meta. New York Comic Con, New York Anime Festival, October 8th. We're doing crazy shit there, but we'll announce that as it gets closer.
All right, so basically, I don't know, this topic is sort of I guess it'll be an okay topic, but it is not a mystery to anyone that
It's a secret to everybody.
Yeah, that there are fanboys in the world, but especially in the realm of technology. In fact, it was pretty much invented in the realm of technology because, the internet started out with technologists. So anything that happens
I would argue the first fanboys, you remember 12 Byzantine rulers?
Okay.
I would argue that those debates about religion back then were basically fanboy arguments.
Yes, maybe so, but...
Do you have to roll a 15 or an 18?
The thing is, on the internet, right, the first blogs were about technology. The first, podcasts were about technology. Everything that's on the internet is always about technology first because the internet is technology and technologists are the first people to take advantage of any of the new technology. So whenever there is a new technology, the first instances of that new technology are about technology. And when these people who are about technology discuss technology, they are often fanboys or zealots. They pick a thing and then every other thing but the thing that they like is a shitty thing. And their thing is better than everyone else's thing. And it could be a programming language. It could be a piece of software. It could be an operating system, which I guess is a piece of software. It could be a hardware. It could be a hardware brand. It could be a software, an open source license. It could be anything.
It's weird how specific these things get sometimes. I mean, you might see like the Apple fanboy and think like, yeah, look at how rabid that guy. Those guys aren't even on the radar.
Yeah.
I mean, I have like, Have you ever spoken to like a GNU herd Linux kind of person?
You-
They
no, there-
will,
I mean,
they
there's
will literally
people-
correct you. Every time you say Linux, they will say it's GNU Linux.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
Richard
GNU Linux. Like, they
Richard
will
Stallman won't even talk to you if you call it just plain old Linux.
Yep. I mean, these are people who have focused on something so specific and are so, like, it is their entire life as far as I can tell. And it's weird because you don't see this in popular culture on the internet as much as you used to because those people.
Well, because other people have made things on the internet. There are now podcasts about things other than technology.
True.
There are websites that are about things that
But
aren't
like
technology.
remember Slashshot like 7-8 years ago? There was a lot more of that there, and it's kind of fallen away. I don't know if those people have disappeared.
They're on Reddit.
Yeah. Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Because Reddit has all the is like a million digs because they have specific categories for everything. So you can go to like the Reddit just for a particular programming language, and there'll be just things for that. So that's where you find the fanboys. And even there'll be people who are like they're both fans of the same programming language, but they'll argue about like two different libraries, or they'll be like, oh no, you must use this framework. No, this framework is superior.
Now the trouble is this, I think, is holding back open technology more so than any other factor in the world. It's not man hours we need to spend. It's not like direction or design. I think it's primarily that we have these weird divisions in almost all open software and open anything development because people become zealots and they refuse to compromise on what I would argue are really stupid things.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'll see two people arguing about a particular thing, right? Maybe they're arguing about like JavaScript libraries. So one guy likes jQuery and the other guy likes Prototype or MooTools or one of the other ones.
So Scott, we're intelligent people. We're going to debate that. I use jQuery because of X and Y.
All right, I use MooTools because of X and Y.
If you use jQuery for Z, it's actually faster if you change your program to use Z.
MooTools is easier to write because it's all friendly and such.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm going to keep using jQuery because it's faster for Z.
No, you should use MooTools. jQuery
I thought we were going to
sucks.
discuss it like smart people should discuss it. Not we're zealots. Shit.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, it's like, first of all,
Why do you care what the fuck other people use, you zealots?
What do you care what the fuck other people use, right? Okay, so I guess I don't know the answer to that.
Here's
But-
one case, all right? At my work, right? We have a couple of guys who use Perl for all their kind of scripting. Like, you got to bang out something quick for some monitoring or something. They use Perl. The rest of us use Python. It's like 50-50. I would rather the Perl people use Perl or use Python because I'm better at Python, and if I have to change their shit or reuse it, it's easy for me. But if they want to use Perl, I'm not angry. It is not like this somehow bothers me outside of the specific inconvenience it causes me in the code.
Yeah, and it's like it's at work, so I'm being paid. So what do I care?
Yeah, you're paying me for my time.
If I'm doing something on my own, I mean, obviously, most cases I'm a programmer. I do have a preference, right? Usually, or sometimes I don't care, but usually I have at least a slight preference. So I'll pick what I want when I'm doing it on my own. If I'm doing it for work, I don't care what the fuck it is. I'm being paid to do it. So whatever it is that they want, I'll do it. And, if there's like, at my work, there's basically one person who cares and no one else cares. So that person just picks everything. And you know what? If another person were to join the team who also cared, it would be probably a big problem. But I don't care. It's like, okay, you don't like this one, we'll use that one. Okay, it's not any more trouble for me to use something different. They're all pretty much the same and equal. I still prefer the other one. I might disagree, but it's work. I don't care. I'm not going to fight about it. It'd be more trouble to fight about it than to use the different one.
Yep, but yet in the open source world, like the fighting becomes like its own thing. I mean, people fight to the point that even to this day, Ubuntu, they don't do a lot of things that would make Ubuntu a lot more usable because they're worried about purity. Purity of the license, purity of the open philosophy.
In fact, Ubuntu is less pure than all the other ones. People who won't use Ubuntu because it's not pure.
I've run into those
'Cause
people.
It's so impure. It's no good. You can't use that.
But
Got to use Debian or whatever.
fuck Debian. Doesn't do what I want. Kind of sucks.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, I'm all about open sourceness, right? And I know some people who refuse to use anything that's not open source, right? But at the same time, I got an iPhone, but I like open source. Why do I have this iPhone?
iPhone works better.
It just works better. It's not like I'm some, fundamentalist. I must follow this rule in all cases. Do I prefer open source? Yes. I prefer things that work more. I would rather have one device that does the work of two devices and actually works and doesn't crash I would prefer it to be open source. That'd be making me very happy. But I'm willing to sacrifice that thing in favor of another thing. And if someone else prefers the open source more, what do I care? It doesn't bother me.
There was a guy, I was working on something at IBM, and it was the Aladdin license, I think.
Oh,
and
God, it's the worst
He was
license.
trying to convince me, because I made some joke, because I was doing a research on all the licenses that were encumbering a bunch of open stuff we were about to use in a project. I was writing up a report on, here are the license concerns if we do X with Y and Z. You know, the standard like IT programmer kind of stuff for a big company. And this guy, I made an offhanded joke in the meeting, like, and this uses the Aladdin license. And the guy got really mad. He's like, don't make fun of the Aladdin license. In fact, I think everything, and he like went off on this crazy rant.
This guy actually knew what the Aladdin license
Not only did he GNU. I could have made a joke. Not only did he know, but he GNU. Scott stood up. He's far away from his microphone. I can say whatever I want. There's nothing he can do about it. But the guy, like, not only did he know about the Aladdin license, he cared about it really, really strongly and was insulted that I had been flippant. In fact, that's the word he used, flippant, about the Aladdin license.
What was his argument for this Aladdin license?
He didn't have an argument.
Oh, okay.
His argument was basically about like purity and stuff. He's one of those GNU herd kind of people.
Mm-hmm.
He actually did. He is the basis of almost all of my feelings about these people because he corrected me more than once and said, "You're forgetting the GNU toolset. Without that, the Linux would just be a kernel." He always called it the Linux.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
whatever.
It was an anecdote. Doesn't really go anywhere from there, but.
Mm-hmm.
And it was some like postscript thing that I had to use the Aladdin license that I was looking at.
Anyway, so what do you think there is any? I mean, there's my standard internet solution for people who are fanboys, which is to
I think younger programmers don't care.
which is creativity always wins, right? So if you've got people arguing about some software, they're both work in an open source project community, right? So they're both Linux kernel developers, right? And they're arguing which way you should do something. You just come in, write the code. Productivity wins. I wrote the code. Here it is. Here's the patch. I did it the way I wanted to. And the other two guys just arguing. Well, you're going to win because you actually did the work. And it's the dude bro. It's the same lesson, right? Productivity, creativity always
Sometimes
wins over arguing.
I mean, all right, so I did the thing that makes Ubuntu awesome, but it's not 100% pure. It's not included in Ubuntu. Now I got a fork.
All right. So big deal.
No one's going to follow my fork, and then it dies.
Yeah.
And then my changes are lost. I coded for nothing.
Well, that's the way
So it
things
doesn't
go.
always work.
The thing is, if you really want it, right, you have to do enough work. There's an amount of work you have to do to actually make it succeed, right?
I think
so
a better answer.
If you keep at it to the point at which you've actually got a distribution that's like better than Ubuntu, people will just start leaving it and come over to you. Look at like Mint. Mint is an Ubuntu-based Linux distribution, and quite a lot of people use that instead of Ubuntu.
I think over time, the problem is going to solve itself, but in a way that kind of sucks. My personal feeling by observing younger people who are coming into tech and like new workers and companies and things is that younger generations don't give a shit about most of this. And their zealotries are so much more superficial than the old zealotries. I mean, the old zealotries would come down to surprisingly esoteric and specific things where people would make very, very like real mathematical arguments for one or the other. Or they would argue about like the lineage of GNU and the tool set and all this stuff. But now most younger zealots are zealous about some sort of very meta abstract thing like, I like a GUI versus a command line. I like Mac versus Windows.
Well, that's a general problem, I think, in all of our society is people taking their preferences, right? If someone says I prefer GUI to command line, it's like, all right, cool, whatever, dude. But people will be like, oh, this doesn't have a GUI. It sucks. We shouldn't use it. Well, it's
no,
like
the correct answer is it sucks for me and people like me.
Yes, you are misconstruing your personal preference for an objective measure of quality.
Something Scott and I could never be caught doing.
No,
Ever. That has never happened.
And the thing is, I think actually the technology itself is to blame for a lot of this. In the olden days, right? If you had some old computer, like a PDP-11 or something, right? Olden days, there were pretty much objective measures of what was better. This uses less memory. This uses 3 less instructions to execute. It goes faster, right? And because everything was so low level, you didn't really, whatever was better was better. There was objective measurements of almost everything.
That's kind of the point I was making. The zealotries now are more
But now
superficial,
the
and there's no
computer-
argument they can make.
The computer is so fast that, some people are still working on that level and are still have these objective differences. And, sometimes those things actually, like Linux kernel, that kind of thing still happens a lot. Aha, my algorithm is more efficient. Okay, it wins, right? But at the same time, most arguments are not on that low objective level of computing. They're on some way up high level where they're not even measuring what's actually faster, or what actually takes, and the thing is, okay, it takes an extra megabyte for my option, but you know what? Who gives a shit? Because I have 4 gigs of RAM, so who cares that it takes an extra megabyte if it's better?
Well, that's the thing, because the zealotries
We're not working on a cell phone here
are
where it
more
would matter.
superficial and they're more kind of opinion-based. They don't really have the same strength. I mean, find the most zealous Apple fanboy you've ever seen, and their arguments don't get that much far beyond, my platform is better. It looks better.
Yeah. I mean, there are some cases, though, that I think the problem is that people I wrote a blog post sort of about this, right? Which is people have no problem like modifying their computer, right? It's like, I have a problem. It's not matching my preference. So they change their computer. They'll change to Dvorak keyboard or something, right? Whereas, and then they go to another computer and it's not the same way. Right? I learned my lesson like in the late 2000, 3 or 4 years ago. Don't change your computer at all. Just change your own damn self, right? Because it's a lot easier to change yourself than it is to change the computer. It's a lot less time consuming. I can use fucking any computer. And the thing is, you might argue, well, I have this preference, right? And you might try to say it's objectively better or not. Maybe you have an argument, maybe you don't.
But even if it is,
you might recognize that someone else is doing something in a particular way. And objectively that your way is perhaps easier or more efficient. And you can actually, show this. Like, look, if you would just use the freaking keyboard shortcuts, right, you would be a lot better off. And the person goes, and they don't want to learn. They don't want to change themselves. They don't want to bother with the keyboard shortcuts. But, maybe they don't mind the inefficiency. Okay. But if they simultaneously complain about the inefficiency and they won't learn to be more efficient and you're showing them the way, it's like, what the fuck, dude? What the fuck?
Yep. At the same time, sometimes if someone's a zealot, like say Dvorak is not better. We've gone over this. But say it were somehow like 2 or 3% better.
Okay.
All right. So maybe I use it on my keyboard, 2 or 3% better. No one else supports that shit. So everywhere else I go, I'm gonna have to go back to QWERTY anyway. So
not to mention it causes a lot of other side effect problems. Like, you want to do Control S to save on a Dvorak keyboard. Guess what? Can't do it with one hand.
Yeah, well, you can if you're a freak.
Yeah, right. I mean,
maybe if you play the piano.
So suddenly, all your keyboard shortcuts have to be different, and then and suddenly,
actually, I can use either. Scott, I just tested. I can use either Alt, Control, or Shift with one hand and hit any letter on the keyboard.
All right, good luck for you. But it's a lot easier to hit Control S on a QWERTY than a Dvorak. So, it kind of, everything gets sort of, finagled. And, you got to use some WASD for a game. So suddenly every time you're playing a game, you have to reconfigure it. It's a whole lot more work than you think it is that you're going to be spending reconfiguring. And then if you use a different computer, oh my God, again, right? So it's best to just often forget your zealotry, forget your preference for one browser or another, right? If you are actually a good computer user and you know how a computer works and how to use one, you should be able to use anything. I can use Microsoft Word. I can use Abbey Word. I can use OpenOffice. I can use Google Docs. It doesn't matter what the fuck word processor I have. I might like one the most, but yeah, I can use any one I have to use, and I'll be just fine.
So I think there are 2 ways to deal with these people. If it's one of those, like, we should code with this or that, the answer is, all right, whatever, I don't care.
Yeah, unless there actually is, a real reason you need to pick one or the other.
Yeah, but
in which case, the person in charge, someone has authority, or there's a voting, or there's some mechanism by which you will decide.
But the second case is the GNU Linux kind of person, the person who makes the kind of, no, it's GNU Linux. If someone ever corrects you and says, sorry, it's GNU Linux, I think your response should be to just laugh and say, okay, dude, fine.
And then they might get really mad and hit you.
Unix Santas can't hit that hard.
I don't know. There's a lot.
They might fall on you.
Underneath that beard, watch out.
Maybe they'll strangle you with the beard.
But yeah, in general, I think you should fight zealotry with productivity.
Or laughter.
Yeah, I think that you should, change yourself before you start trying to change the computer. You should be, if you're actually good at computers, you should be able to, I can learn a new programming language in a couple days, as long as it's, a kind of programming language that I've, learned before. It's not a new category of language. It might take me an extra few days to learn.
But some sort of aspect-oriented language?
Yeah, well, I mean, something even completely new. I mean, I've done functional programming and all sorts.
Yep.
So I can learn almost anything in a couple of days. So throw anything you got at me. If you can only use one particular thing, and as soon as you're given a different thing, you fall apart and don't know what to do, and
then
you can't deal with it, then you suck.
And you know what you are?
That's a
I run
failing
into
in
this
you,
all
not a
the
failing
time.
in the computer.
Anytime you're looking for a developer for something, especially for a short project, you'll find the majority of the developers out there are Java, which is fine. Java's good for a lot of small, mid-sized projects.
All right.
But here's the problem. The majority of the people out there who, if you look for a small project thing, are a Java coder. So if you're looking for a Java coder specifically, you will find these people, and if you talk to them, you will discover that they do not know how to program. They don't know any language. They know how to write Java. They do not know how to write code. They don't know any other programming language or programming fundamentals. They just know enough Java to do pretty much what you want. I would argue that they are not computer science professionals. They're not even coders. They are Java-ers and nothing more. And
there's people like that for all languages.
No, but not even just languages. You would be surprised. Like, you think of an IT guy.
They're Excellers.
There are so many IT guys who literally are, I can support Microsoft Office on Windows, or I can support Cisco. They don't know anything about networks. They can't even tell you how multicast works. But they can make multicast work on a Cisco device.
Uh-huh.
And
they have I guess it's like some rote memorization without actually knowing anything conceptually. I don't understand even how you could have that kind of knowledge.
But I would say that is the majority of the IT people I've ever interacted with.
Really? I don't even understand how you could memorize the steps for something and not understand what the steps were. I can't, my brain doesn't even wrap around that.
I think that's the way most schools teach it. And, still a lot of IT people never even went to school for IT. They went for something else and kind of picked it up as they went.
I don't get it.
Look at our IT compared to a lot of other schools. Our IT never taught us Cisco. They gave us weird-ass routers that worked terribly, and they made us just use them. They didn't even tell us how they worked. We had to figure it out.
I saw a bunch of Cisco equipment in this lab.
Yeah, we had that too. We could go get Cisco if we wanted to, but they wouldn't teach us how. They never once told us how to do anything with the Cisco router. If you wanted to know, you had to go figure it out yourself. They would say, make a router do this. And you'd go find our router and make it do that.
Mm-hmm.
And in one class, they forced us to use this weird HP system that was totally different from Cisco. In fact, I don't know Cisco that well. I only know routing fundamentals. I can make any router do anything. I just have to read the manual to figure out how to turn on whatever routing protocol.
I mean, in the CS department, CS 1 through 3 were Java, but then CS 4 was C++. And then in classes after that, I mean, everything was always Java-able usually because, they couldn't force you to use something that you hadn't learned yet. And the class was usually focusing on a specific topic and they couldn't force you to learn a new language as part of the class.
IT was that way. Every IT class had a programming project and you could write it whatever you wanted.
Yeah, but
usually
they gave you some choices. And there was even a class that gave you a bunch of small projects and a bunch of different languages. And it was a weird adjunct professor. But I learned, I did one thing in Lisp and one thing in Prolog and one thing in MATLAB, which isn't even really, and I did one thing in a whole bunch of different languages.
That sounds really fun,
One small thing each. Actually, I got the shitty class. The better class does it where you program the Lego robots with a bunch of different languages, one after the other. That's a much better way to go. I think the programming the robots in Python is CS1 at MIT now, from what I've heard.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it's, that's how it should be. You should be able to use anything. You can have a preference. Don't try to shove your preference on anyone else. If maybe, your preference actually is objectively better somehow, and you can see that it could benefit someone, but if they don't want to take it, just fuck them. It's not worth it.
Well, no. All you do is you point. You have to really work them up to it. My computer is slow, and you tell them, well, it'd be faster if you did this, and that's true. And every time they ever complain about the computer, just remind them, it'd work if you did this.
Yep, that's a good way to go. But don't sit there and be the zealot guy arguing with them. Saying,
yeah, Scott, you've never done that.
No, listen, you got to do it my way.
I think we've gone on long enough.
No, I just berate people for being stupid. It's different.
Yeah. This has been Geek Nights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geek Nights is not one, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.